Hey Rovers, today's episode is all about ventilation. The Wave Rover 650, a design based on my single-handed ocean voyages. She's small, light, but easy to build, and strong enough to cross any ocean. My name's Alan Mulholland, and this is the Wave Rover story. So when it comes to ventilation, we want to let the air in and out, but no water. So this product right here, and I'm going to say it right up because I know some of you are concerned about this. I am not sponsored by this company at all. I've paid full retail price for these items. I don't know why I'm telling you that, but it was a concern, I think, to some folks before. These vents, they come from the Ukraine, and they came up on my radar when I was having a discussion months and months ago with the 650 Builders Group, and someone brought up, hey, air-only vents, and we Googled it, and they said, yikes, it's in the Ukraine. Not that there's anything wrong with the Ukraine, other than there's a war going on right now. We were wondering, are we going to be able to get these or not? Well, it turns out I emailed them. They got right back to me, said, yeah, we can get this product out. It took about a month from the time that I ordered the product and sent payment to the time that it actually arrived here. Something to bear in mind if you're on a tight schedule. Anyway, these are really cool vents. I'm going to show you why I chose these. So this is the underside of the hatch, and this is the air-only vent. This is the portion you would see from inside the boat, and it has a little plunger. There is a knob that I'll be putting on here after everything's finished, and you can pull that plunger all the way down, and it seals the vent off entirely. And then on the other side, this is what it looks like. So there's that plunger. This is a base plate. So this is one piece. This is another piece. And that flange you saw on the bottom, that's the third piece. So you might be, and then a couple more pieces here that go on like that. And then, of course, the cover, which will go on kind of like this. So air hits these little baffles, they're 360 degrees, and then the air goes through this grill, and then from when it gets through that grill, it goes into this little opening and air comes into the boat. So you might be saying, Alan, what's so genius about that? Because that looks like every other system. This is the genius part. These little balls, and these balls have flotation so that when air comes in, they just stay down in this position. But when water comes up, well, you can imagine these little balls float to the top and shut off all the possible routes that water would make it through this vent and into the boat. So we've got those balls, and then we put this grill back on. And there are screws, let's see, right there. So that's the way it goes. Screws hold this down, and then you put this cap on. Screws hold this cap on. And then this unit has bolts that just tuck under these little raised sections here. And you can screw this down. You can remove this section because it's not glued or bedded in any way, but this section is bedded to the boat so that water can't make its way under the unit. So that is what makes the air-only, I think, a really cool vent. I'm very interested to try this out. Now, I'm going to actually walk you through the install of those first few steps. Time to crack on. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a very special announcement. Rover Coin has arrived. And in the ancient tradition of seafarers, this coin, which has an individual serial number, 001, will go under my mast. Now I had to order 100, of which 85 are available as a fundraiser. Now I'm not sure what metal they're made out of, but it's not gold, although you might think so. But I have it on good authority from someone in the Summerside Financial District that Rover Coin could be a great investment in two ways. One, Wave Rover has a great adventure, and this individually numbered coin grows with the popularity of the Wave Rover 650s. And two, that Wave Rover and her skipper come to an untimely end, and Rover coins will skyrocket in value. That's not exactly a win-win for me. However, if you're interested in Rover Coin, they are $125. It's a fundraiser to help me fund the upcoming voyage. Or you might be thinking, hey, I want more than one. Can I get a discount? Of course you can. If you buy 3 or more, these will be $100 each. I know it's a lot of money, and don't put yourself out if you're living paycheck to paycheck. It's not important. I love you guys, each and every one of you, whether you buy a coin or not. But this is a fundraiser to help out Wave Rover. So on that note, let's get back to the air-only vents. Okay, so let's start by drilling a 1/4-inch hole. That's all going to make sense in a minute. That's what I was working on this morning. This is where the mast will be coming out, and this is the steel that I was sizing up, and I've sent that off to a friend. He's going to fabricate it for me. But what we're interested in right now is drilling this hole. And so I have a little pilot hole, and you'll remember that from the time that I put the backing plates on. I always have a little hole dead center. Comes in so handy. So that's it, just a little 1/4-inch hole. So phase 2, we have to head inside the boat. And if you remember from earlier, the port side here, this is where I'm going to have the galleys. So right up here, this is the backing plate for the vent. And this is the tool I'm going to be using to cut the hole. The hole you need is 3 3/4 of an inch. And this is a hole saw I just picked up from Amazon just a few nights ago. Okay, I'll see if we can set the camera up here. So hole saws, especially when the hole saws are this size, they're really aggressive. So go slowly and try not to jam it in. And that's the reason we drill the 1/4-inch hole, is because the mandrel, the center portion of the hole saw, is generally a 1/4-inch bit. So there we go. Okay, so I don't drill all the way through, I just get it started, and then I'll go to the top of the deck, which is a much easier hole to cut. And the reason is I just want to get the veneer broken or cut on the underside here with the hole saw. Can't go wrong, it's still going to line up from the outside because we drilled that 1/4-inch hole first. Okay, so now we're heading back up on top of the boat. And let's see, we'll just set this down. So right here, that's the 1/4-inch hole that we're going to cut. And there we go. The hole has been cut, so there's no going back now. We've got a hole that is 3 3/4 inches in diameter. It's also 3/4 of an inch thick. You know, it looks pretty substantial from the side. And I have another hole over here just aft of bulkhead 5, so that's the one above the galley. And this is the one forward of bulkhead 5. So we're having 3 vents in total, the third one being the one on the hatch. Okay, so this is what you get in the kit, and this is the piece that you'll see under your boat. So it comes pretty tall, and we have to trim that down to the thickness of the boat. So what I've done is I've got this piece of wood. Can you bring the camera down? And I've got this piece of wood here that's the same thickness as the hull, but it doesn't have fiberglass on it. So I'm just going to mount this in the hole. That's a 3 3/4 inch hole. So now we've got this installed and we're going to trim it. And the easiest way to trim it that I can think of is to use one of these tools. Just going to clamp the work. Now when I go to trim this, because this is just a little narrower than the boat itself, because the boat is fiberglassed, this will be trimmed to a slightly lower height than flush, and that's what you want. You don't want this flush. You certainly don't want it sticking higher than the boat, because nothing will seat properly. So we just finished cutting that, and it looks a little bit rough, but don't worry about that. You can actually clean this up very easily with a knife. So we have our trimmed piece right now, so we'll just put it up in this hole, just like that. And now it's just a matter of getting the screws sorted. So okay, I did that so I can get the 3 points. Now that I have the 3 points to screw, I'll use my awl. And now I'll just drill a little hole. Now we only want to drill this hole for these screws. These screws are 3/4 of an inch long, but about 3/8 of that is taken up with the flange here, so we really only need to make a hole that's about 3/8 of an inch deep. Just check this one more time. Yep, they're all good. So now I'll just put these screws in. We're tight. And like with anything plastic, don't over tighten it. Now we're going to head up on deck and see what it looks like. So now we're back up on top, and we have this flange inside, and it's hard to see perhaps, but there's about a 1/16 of an inch that this is below the surface of our cabin top. Now this is the piece that goes on top of here, and you can see that it has a rim that's about 3/16 of an inch, and it's designed to sit right over top of that, and it locks in place. So I'm not going to do the next step, which would be to drill these holes and then put the fasteners in. The reason for that is because once the boat is painted, which should happen fairly shortly, then bedding compound will go down, and then I'll put this down. This flange goes over top. Now you'll find that it's not fitting, and none of the three really did fit, and it's because there's these little tabs in here, and you can just remove them with a knife. It's just from the plastic works, I guess. So now that I've cleaned up this inner ring, I can place it on top, and it's a nice tight fit, and it gets secured with these 6 screws. They're a different diameter than the 6 are on the inside. These are a bigger screw. You'll see from the package, they're different packages that they supply with the screws. Again, I'm not doing this right now because I want to have bedding compound put down. So we'll be doing a lot of bedding with all the deck attachments in a few weeks. That concludes my demonstration of the air-only vents. They're a really cool ventilator. I'm really happy with them. Well, Rovers, that concludes my video on the air-only install. It's a great little product, or at least it looks that way. I'll know better when I get it to see. Very happy to be supporting a small Ukrainian company at this time. As always, Rovers, thanks for watching, and forge your own adventure. Well, the Wave Rover patrons, with their pledges of support, really do make the creation of these videos possible. Now, if you'd like to know more about Wave Rover's patron page and benefactors bulkhead, I have links to both those pages in the video description. Now, another way to help Wave Rover, and it doesn't cost you a dime, is by sharing our content on your social media. So now, as always, Rovers, thanks for watching. Give us one more. Brilliant.